he's pledged the majority of his money to the UN Foundation to help eradicate poverty and disease, and to the Nuclear Threat Initiative to eliminate nuclear weapons.
I don't believe it's really healthy to pass on fortunes to children just because they're your children. They're not necessarily more worthy than anyone else, and if they get everything from their parents or from the previous generations, then their life doesn't have the kind of meaning or the challenges that being able to make it on their own does.
What was your highest net wealth?
Close to 10.
And it plummeted with the plunging of the Time Warner stock to...
Less than 2.
How did you stomach that?
I lost $10 million a day every day for 3 years. I stayed with Time Warner, and because my family and friends had a lot of stock in the company, and I was on the board, and I was like the captain of the Titanic. I went down with the ship. It hurt because I'd worked hard to get that money. You know, I worked hard. You know, like that song, "She Works Hard for Her Money." That was my theme song.
How did you triumph over that?
I hung in there, but there was, I had a rough couple of years. I lost most of my fortune. I lost my job. I lost my wife, and I lost a grandchild, passed away, all in the same year. And I thought about giving up, but I couldn't give up because then what would I do? You know, I wasn't gonna, quitters never win and winners never quit. I remembered that's been kind of my slogan for a long time.
Did philanthropy fill a void?
Yeah, but during that year I didn't give a whole lot away because I was trying to hang on to what little bit was left.
When you gave the money to the United Nations, you said, "I want to put all you rich people on notice. I'm coming after you to give more money."
Well, I said that, but and just by saying that, it caused a lot of people, I'm sure, to think about it.
Did you know Bill Gates and Warren Buffett before that?
I did. I didn't know them real well, but I knew them. I knew them.
What did you want them to do, and others like them?
Well, to consider giving now. They were already considering giving. Everybody who's rich considers it. It's just a question of whether they do it or not, because it's so much easier not to do it. But Bill Gates and Warren have, with this giving pledge, I mean, they're out there really taking a leadership position, and I'm proud to know them and be partners with them, because the UN Foundation and the Nuclear Threat Initiative does a number of joint projects with both of them.
You just mentioned NTI, the Nuclear Threat Initiative.
Right, that's the one that focuses on getting rid of weapons of mass destruction and making sure they're not used in the meantime, and making it a more peaceful and safer world.
And yet that should be the role of a government.
Well, it is the role of government, but governments can stand help. Governments are like everybody else. Everybody needs help sometimes, no matter how rich and powerful you are. And that was the thing I did not know for sure when I started, that it was going to work, that the UN Foundation was going to be able to help the UN, or the Nuclear Threat Initiative was going to be able to help the US government. And there were a lot of things that weren't getting done that are getting done now, or done more quickly. And it really has worked out. And not only is our foundation helping, but now you have lots of corporations that are helping the United Nations, and you have lots of NGOs that are helping.
You did something in Yugoslavia with Nuclear Threat Initiative. Why did you have to step in and secure the Yugoslavian nuclear material?
Because our government didn't really have a way to raise the last $5 million. They were $5 million short for transporting and blending down the highly enriched uranium that Serbia had. And it was very dangerous. It was being held in a museum, and it wasn't being properly supervised. It could have been stolen by a terrorist, and it was enough to make several big bombs.
And the United States government did not have $5 million?
Well, it didn't fit the rules that they have. So we came up with $5 million.
Warren Buffett jokes that because of his age, he's been on the nuclear case longer even than Turner.
because I'm older than he is.
And he's joined as advisor to the NTI.
I delivered a Washington Post extra when they dropped the first atomic bomb, and I read what Einstein said 4 days later, where he said this has changed everything in the world except how men think. And in the 1960s, I was giving money to that. The hard part about that is translating money into something that really does attack the problem. You really get into governments, and I don't know how to use big money to really change the world in that respect. I've got a $50 million challenge out now to the IAEA on a program for a nuclear fuel bank, but basically that's got to be done by governments, and money just doesn't buy as much in some areas of philanthropy as it does in others.
Since 1960, the number of countries with nuclear weapons has nearly tripled, from 3 to 11.
We got to all get rid of them, us, Russia, China, and they all understand that, and they all voted for it last year at the Security Council. So all I'm trying to do is remind them that they've already voted for it. Let's go ahead and do it. And we've already voted for the START treaty, and it carried. Now all we got to do is ratify it with a supermajority of the Senate, get that ratified and get on the road towards nuclear disarmament and world peace, because we have too many other problems that we need to deal with. Let's get rid of polio and measles and malaria instead of bombing each other. And we can eliminate poverty. I'm on the committee now, the UN committee to eliminate poverty. Well, in the next 5 years, it's a big job, but we're going to work on it. We're going to try. I mean, it's going to be...
It's exhausting saving the world.
Saving the world is a hard job.
What would you say to people who don't have so much money? Should they be doing that too?
Or don't have any money? Well, one thing they can do is pick up trash. That's what I do. We're in New York now, and yesterday I walk around the block and I pick up trash.
I don't believe you.
I swear to God. Absolutely. I
Why?
pick up trash in Atlanta because I want to set a good example. President Kagame of Rwanda has passed a rule that on the third Saturday of each month, the entire country has to go out from 8 to 11 and pick up trash, including him and the cabinet of Rwanda. They all go out and pick up trash, and Rwanda is just as clean a country as Switzerland is.
Ted's motivation comes in part from a tough upbringing from a strict disciplinarian father.
What about your father made you take these risks and aim so high in your life? Whether it was starting CNN, whether it was winning the America's Cup, whether it was being, for environmental control before that was cool, or nuclear disarmament before that was cool.
You only have one life. You might as well make it interesting, and you might as well aim high. You know, it's try and do as much as you can. But basically, I didn't have a lot of fear because I thought things through very carefully before I did them, and I felt like, I wasn't really taking that big a risk.